Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Brighton Town Hall. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and tonight is our October 24th, 2018 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. It's always a great thing to see so many people here in the room tonight. Usually when that happens, we've got some great things going on, and we do in just a moment. But let's start this evening, if we could, with a pledge to the flag. I'll ask Councilmember Warner to lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody. As I said, it's great to have so many people here, but not everybody is here in the room. I know there are people watching remote, either on our cable access channel or streaming on the town's YouTube channel. But whether you're here in the room or whether you're watching remotely, you can access all of the same information that we have. Tonight's agenda with all the supporting material is available on the back table here in the room. It's also available on the town's webpage, townofbrighton.org. Either way, you can follow along with us. Part of our commitment to open government, we want to make sure that everybody has access to the same material that we have. In just a couple moments, we will be getting to the open forum portion of the meeting, and that's an opportunity for people to speak with the town board about any matter, whether or not it's on the agenda. But we've moved things around just a little bit. I do want to make note of a couple of things. If you're watching the live broadcast on Spectrum on our cable access channel, and there is a problem if you lose either the audio or the video, please contact Spectrum at 756-5000. That's 756-5000. Now, in addition, and we had it happen for the first time at the last meeting. If anybody was here at the last meeting, we did have a fire alarm go off. So we're hoping lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place. But should you hear the emergency alarm system, everybody last meeting did a great job. They all got out of the building. Leave the building immediately, either by the exit to my right, and if you take that exit, turn right, go down the stairs, out the back door of Town Hall and away from the building, or go through either of the double doors here at the back of the auditorium, through the lobby, through the main front doors, down the stairs, and again, away from the building, should that happen. Okay, as I mentioned, we're taking things a little bit out of our traditional order, and that's because we do have a wonderful, happy event to start our meeting tonight. Our police department is a very important part of what gives Brighton such a high quality of life. And tonight, I am going to be asking the town board to take action on the promotion of Officer Keith Woodard to sergeant in the police department, and we have correspondence from Chief Henderson making that recommendation. And Chris, I'm going to ask you to make that motion if you would, please.
Bill, I move that Officer Keith Woodard be promoted to sergeant in the police department effective October 27th, 2018, and that we adopt the resolution before us.
Can I have a second? Second, thank you.
So can I go over why it is I'm recommending Officer Woodard to you for promotion? Keith, can you join me at the podium? Keith's going to be joined with his wife Jacqueline, sons Keith and Jack. So why don't you come up here? You want to do that? We're on TV, all right? In my communication to the board, I talked about why I'm recommending Officer Woodard to promotion to the rank of sergeant. Keith started with the Brighton Police Department on April 9th, 2011. Keith was actually my first hire as the chief of police. I started about 6 months prior to that, and he lateral transferred from the Village of Penn Yan Police Department. Since his transfer to the Brighton Police Department in 2011, Officer Woodard has consistently demonstrated his commitment and dedication to the Brighton community and has consistently shown his commitment to community policing and community engagement. In May of 2013, Officer Woodard received an Excellent Police Service Award for his effort involving a despondent individual. Officer Woodard has a Bachelor of Science degree from the New York State University College at Oneonta. It is with my honor that I recommend to you, the board, that Officer Keith Woodard be promoted to the rank of sergeant.
Thank you, Mark, and we have a motion and a second to that effect, and let's take action on that motion, and then we'll do the rest of the ceremony.
Okay.
Dan, would you please call the roll on that motion?
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
2 thumbs up, aye.
All right, so it's a unanimous vote. Now comes the circumstance to the pomp that we just saw. So, joining Keith tonight is his parents, Keith and Aggie Woodard, and Jacqueline's mother, Beth Taylor. Sir, if you could join me at the podium. Keith has selected his dad to pin the badge on him. His dad is a retired police sergeant from the village of Penn Yan. As former investigator Libertor noted, they went to the police academy back when, and it was because of him that investigator Libertor made it through the academy. So you're going to pin the badge on.
To one heck of a career with the Brighton Police Department for.
You know, first aid in case you accidentally.
You might need it, Chief.
Congratulations, Sergeant Woodard. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate it. If you can't tell by the red cheeks, I'm a little nervous right now, but I'll get through it. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the supervisor, the town board, for this opportunity. I'd like to thank the chief of police, Captain Cathaldi, Captain Desane, all the guys that are here with me today that I worked with and worked for. It's pretty humbling to stand up here and be able to see all you guys out there. It really means a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. Obviously, I'd like to thank my family, my wife, my kids, my mother-in-law, my parents. This was definitely an awesome moment, I think, in my career to have my dad be able to pin the badge on me, to obviously to the rank that he attained. So, thank you. I love you guys, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Not over yet.
No, it's not.
He's going to do the official part now.
So raise your right hand and repeat after me. We'll get photographers in place. No,
Do
absolutely.
you want to get in and I'll take the picture with you?
I, Keith Woodard,
I, Keith Woodard,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of police sergeant
of police sergeant
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
Awesome.
Okay, now it's all over. It's good. Supervisor, as you know, it's customary at a promotion or anything police-related that there's cake. So that's happening now for those that want to leave and join Keith and his family. They're going to do that down at the roll call room of the police department.
Fantastic. Thank you. Congratulations, Keith. Nothing makes a room clear out quicker than hearing that there's cake, food. But there's still a good number of people here, and that's great, because we do have some more things to do this evening. And I'm going to ask, we have a number of people that are here from the Brighton Memorial Library in one capacity or another, and if I can ask you all to join me at the podium. I think in some level, we're all friends of libraries. Who doesn't have great memories of a library growing up? But the library that we knew growing up is very different from the library we know today. But there are friends, and then there are friends. And we are very fortunate in Brighton to not only have a magnificent library, but we also have magnificent friends of the Brighton Memorial Library. This week is National Friends of Libraries Week, and we wanted to make sure that the volunteers, because the Friends of the Brighton Memorial Library are volunteers, we wanted them to know, and of course we want our entire library team to know just how important libraries are to us. So the town board has issued this proclamation, whereas United for Libraries, a division of the American Library Association, recognizes National Friends of Libraries Week each year to celebrate the many ways that volunteer Friends of Libraries provide support to public libraries across the country. And whereas the work of the Friends of the Brighton Memorial Library highlights the fact that our Brighton Memorial Library is the cornerstone of our community, providing opportunities for all to engage in the joy of lifelong learning and to connect with the thoughts and ideas of others from all cultures and ages, past and present. And whereas the Friends understand the critical importance of well-funded libraries and advocate to ensure that our library gets the resources it needs to provide a wide variety of services to all, including access to print and electronic materials, along with expert assistance in research, technology, children's services, and other varieties of services. And whereas the Friends of the Brighton Memorial Library, with their immense gift of time and commitment to the library, set an example of volunteerism that leads to positive civic engagement in the enhancement of our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that October 21st through 27th, 2018, is proclaimed as Friends of Libraries Week in the town of Brighton. And we urge everyone to become members of the Friends and thank the current members of the Friends of the Brighton Memorial Library for all they do to make our library and community great. I was pleased to get my Friends renewal card in the mail this week. I renewed at the used book sale. So I'm one of those people very proud to be a member of the Friends, and I have signed this proclamation along with my colleagues on the town board this 24th day of October 2018. And I'll present it collectively to the Friends.
Thank you. Well, of course, an opportunity to say a word here. Again, my name is Jennifer Reese-Taggart. I'm the Executive Director of the library. Thank you again for this proclamation acknowledging the Friends of Brighton Memorial. The Friends are a very hard-working group of volunteers. We had over 1,245 programs last year, with the Friends funding the vast majority. They are also reliable and generous donors to our annual capital campaign. The library's annual programming and capital campaign requests to Friends are financed through annual book sales, membership dues, and a lot of volunteer hours, with 95% of their proceeds coming back to the library. Over the past few years, the Friends made capital campaign donations that have allowed us to purchase laptops for our computer lab, a DVD repair system, updated media equipment, and seed money needed to renovate the entrance foyer. Most recently, the Friends approved our request for an outdoor LED sign to be used to advertise library programs, a concrete picnic table, where you can, hopefully, I believe, access our wireless point from outside while sitting at the outside picnic table, probably in the spring, it's looking like now. Also a bi-level water station, an integrated cash register and credit card machine, and a charging station for up to 8 devices, along with laser barcode scanners, all critical equipment that we need for the library. And I think that our patrons will enjoy as well. If you're not already, please consider joining the Friends of BML. They're a very worthy library support group that ultimately contributes to our highly literate community. The dues are very reasonable too, I should add. Thank you again, Bill, Jason, Robin, Chris, for your strong support of the library in general and specifically of the Friends by way of the proclamation. Thank you.
Okay, we do have one more proclamation. Dan, I'm going to ask you to join me up here, but I'm also going to ask, I don't know who all is here, but we have some people here.
Lexi Povich from Smoking Health Alliance, our signs.
Come on up.
Some PTSA folks, I believe PTSA is here.
You'll notice those of us on the board and, well, staff, come on, put them on here. We're wearing red ribbons. This is Red Ribbon Week, which is a week that's recognized annually across the country and in particular in the Brighton Central School District to promote healthy choices when it comes to alcohol and tobacco. And we're into promoting healthy choices when it comes to, particularly tonight, tobacco as well. The town board, not too long ago, took action at a board meeting to approve a change in town law that prohibits tobacco use and vaping on any town properties. We wanted to make sure that we were setting the example and that the rest of the community was setting the example that we ask our students, our kids, to follow. So in making that decision, we thought that tonight, being the middle of Red Ribbon Week and an opportunity to really promote those healthy choices, that we would show off our new signs that are about to be posted throughout our park system. This will affect parks. Smoking has already not been allowed on the town hall campus, but this will extend really to all of our properties, all of our parks, the trails, the Brickyard Trail. I have yet to see anybody smoke on that trail, so that may not be a big change, but it really sends a message. We heard, as many of you know, people would be out at their children's soccer games or their softball games smoking. It's great that parents are engaged, but not so great that that was the example that the kids were seeing. So we've made that change. I want to thank Dan Amon for the work you've done in that regard, and why don't you say a few words, Dan?
Well, I'll just thank the board for taking up this cause. Obviously, it's something, again, like Bill said, we really want to set a great example for our kids. More and more places have done this, and it's just it's time for us to catch up on this activity. So we have signs, again, as Bill said, there'll be signs going up here on campus and near the lodges and such in the parks. And then different signs, larger signs coming in the entrances of the parks that Matt Beeman and park staff will be putting up shortly. I want to thank Lexi from the Lung Association and the Smoking Health Action Coalition. I always get the, they actually provided us, we got money, they had money for us, actually provided us our first allotment of signs. So thank you, Lexi, very much for that. And I believe Lexi with a few words to speak, and then Emily from PTSA. Again, it felt like a very good, since as we're doing this for the kids, felt like the perfect opportunity to reach out to PTSA and invite them tonight to be able to address this as well.
Thank you. Again, I'm Lexi Popovich from the Smoking Health Action Coalition under the American Lung Association. I just want to say a few words. So I would like to start out by thanking the supervisor, the town board, and the town staff for their time and effort to promote policies that are dedicated to, again, the health and wellness of all Brighton residents and town visitors. We not only commend their work, but we'd also like to say thank you for creating healthier environments and access to safer and cleaner outdoor spaces. Their continued devotion to clean air, the environment, health, youth safety, and quality of life should be recognized and applauded. So again, thank you.
Hi, I'm Emily Minerva. I'm president of the PTSA this year, Brighton. And Natalie Pincus is also a member of the PTSA here. We wanted to come thank you, town board and supervisor, for passing this resolution to have no smoking in the parks, because people come to the parks to engage in healthy activities and enjoy nature and not be exposed to secondhand smoke and a bunch of cigarette litter. And so PTSA has been very advocates for healthy families and healthy community, and this is part of it. And thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, again, we really appreciate it. You know, we talk about friends. We talked about the Friends of the Library, the PTSA, you know, friends of the schools in your own way, and appreciate your advocacy and your engagement for all of the students in the Brighton Central School District. Yeah, we can leave it there. Okay, now we are going to continue, and the next item on our agenda, as I alluded to earlier, is the open forum. The open forum is an opportunity where people can come in and address the town board about any matter, whether or not it is on our agenda this evening. You have an opportunity. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand. You'll be recognized, and I'd ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address if you would, please, and address the board. But I would also note that if you are not here, if you're watching remotely, you too can participate in the open forum by calling 303-3060, 303-3060. Someone will take your call, your message, and relay that up to us. And if you are deaf, or hearing impaired, you can call our TDD line to participate in the open forum, 784-5205. Again, 784-5205 is our TDD line to participate in the open forum. With that, is there anyone that would like to address the board in our open forum this evening? Yes, come on up. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Erin Ryan, 87 Edgemore Road.
Mitch Nellis, 260 Edgemore Road.
And I am the chair of the Sustainability Oversight Committee.
I'm a two-year member of the SOC.
So we're here to, well, first of all, to thank board member Robin Wilt for inviting us to come and speak to the town board at this public hearing on the capital improvement plan. And to give a little background for the public about what SOC is and what we do for the town. We are...
And Erin, if I had forgotten that you were going to speak to the
yes.
budget public hearing. I'm going to ask you, because this is not on the record, what I'm going to do is ask you to wait until we call the hearing
Sure.
on the budget.
Okay.
And then your comments will be part of the record. That's okay.
Okay.
No
thank
problem.
You. No worries.
And then we'll call you back up. We'll even put your first in line.
Be back up in a few minutes.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board during the open forum? I'm guessing we have some students from the law and government class here tonight. It's wonderful to have you here. I have gotten emails, as I do every semester, from a number of students in law and government. You ask good questions. It always really brings home, as Tip O'Neill said, all politics are local, and the questions and the concerns I get from the students at Brighton High School really address local issues, and I'm pleased to do that, and I'll be getting back to everybody, and I always enjoy the opportunity to come into the law and government class, Mr. Wilson and the other teachers. I know I enjoy it. I hope you'll enjoy it, and I'll be seeing you shortly. Actually, rumor has it I may be seeing you on Halloween. So costumes are optional, but attendance is not. Anybody else would like to address the board during the open forum tonight? Hearing none, then we will continue on with our agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Can I have a motion to approve and file the town board meeting minutes for the October 10th, 2018 town board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Now we will go to public hearings. Before we open them, we have two public hearings tonight, but they both relate to the budget. The first one is to consider the actual 2019 operating and capital improvement budget. And the second one is to consider the assessment rolls for service charges, maintenance charges, capital improvements, and sewer rent charges for special improvement districts. But they really tie together. They all form issues relating to the budget. So if you would like to speak to the budget, don't fear that you're speaking at the wrong public hearing. We will consider your comments before we take action. But I would, I guess, encourage people that want to comment, including the SOC, to do so at the first of these two public hearings, which will relate to the preliminary operating and capital improvement budget. So before we open, Dan, has the necessary legal notice been given on this public hearing?
Supervisor, notice was in the October 4th edition of the Brighton Pittsburgh Post.
Thank you very much. Notice having been given, I declare this public hearing to be open. I would note that at the last town board meeting, we had a very detailed presentation on the town budget from our finance director, Paula Parker, that accompanied the annual budget message from myself, the finance director, and from the deputy finance director, Suzanne Zaso, that laid out the budget as well as some of the analysis and the thought that went into the budget. And in particular, I want to note that as we go through the process, as we tonight take the final steps in the development of the process, this is a process that year in and year out relies on public input. Public input that begins in August. Really, it begins earlier than that. It begins with our budget review task force, which works with us to develop a 3-year capital improvement plan. Such a plan is something that the state comptroller recommends that municipalities do, and it is something that we do, frankly, to give us the opportunity to look ahead a little bit longer term and assess what kind of significant capital expenditures we want to consider, what our priorities are going to be for equipment, for infrastructure, and other significant expenditures. And we work through that process. Once we finish our capital improvement plan, we turn our attention to the budget. We held, as we do each year, 2 workshops back in August, at which each department head presented their budget proposal in at least summary form, and we had the opportunity to ask questions. It continued through the budget hearings. This is the second of 2 budget hearings. State law only requires 1 hearing, but we've always felt it really makes sense to hold 2 to give people an opportunity to really read the budget, to see what's there, to listen to what other people might say, and then and only then to take action. But again, I would also note, we're taking action in October. We take action on the budget each year before Election Day. This year is not a local election year, but we really believe it's important. Get the budget out there, give the public the opportunity to review it, weigh in, and we take our vote on it. That is something that we consider to be consistent with our theme of open government. So I mentioned the Budget Review Task Force, our Sustainability Oversight Committee, which is another community volunteer board, also reviews our, particularly our capital improvement plan. And in a moment, we are going to hear from them. But Dan, I would like to know, well, we are open, we're in. So I will invite our representatives from the Sustainability Oversight Committee, Aaron and Mitch.
Okay, so hi, my name is Erin Ryan again, and this is Mitch.
Mitch Nellis.
So we're here representing the Sustainability Oversight Committee. So first of all, thank you, Robin Will, Board Member Robin Will, for inviting us to come and speak to the town board about our thoughts about the capital improvement plan. But just as a reminder for the public, the Sustainability Oversight Committee was established in 2010 with the purpose of reviewing the town of Brighton's progress towards a sustainable community and fostering and recommending a unified action on energy conservation, climate change, and many other sustainability issues. And again, one of our roles is to review the CIP every year. So tonight we're going to share a few highlights, but first we
want to thank the town for doing so much with regards to what we're chartered to do, particularly the Green Innovation Grant Project on Monroe Ave, construction of the Brickyard Trail, installment of the white roof on the Town Operations Center, replacing the public safety wings HVAC system with more energy efficient components, installing an electric charging vehicle station at the Town Hall complex, pursuing in the design and construction of the Winters Farmers Market, and also adopting the comprehensive plan update.
So we actually submitted a letter on July 17th with all our recommendations. So tonight, Mitch and I are going to just share a few of them. So first of all, we really would like the town to consider future opportunities like private-public partnerships or grants to install solar panels on town property or more charging stations throughout the town, because those are examples that visualize and illustrate the town's support for renewable energy. And they also provide long-term cost reductions. We want to support the town's effort in pursuing a community choice aggregation, and we look forward to its implementation. We're very excited about that. And we also implore you to continue discussions with RG&E, our utility company, and other entities to convert our streetlights that we all love dearly, but we want them converted to LED.
We're also hoping that you'll explore the use of technologies to improve operational and energy efficiencies, like for snow plowing, asset management, and road maintenance. Investigate providing food waste composting services to residents, and also explore and implement projects that improve pedestrian and bicycle safety, so more residents are comfortable with non-automotive transportation around town.
And finally, we just want to let you know that we will be finalizing a climate action plan over the next year, something we've been working on. And this plan will help guide our future directions and recommendations to the town. So Mitch and I came here tonight to let you know that our committee volunteers are committed to helping the town identify and explore sustainability practices, as well as the use of innovative solutions to reduce our carbon footprint, improve energy efficiency, improve our residents' health and well-being, and reduce costs in the long term. So thank you to the supervisor and to the council members for all their support, and we look forward to providing support to you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Mitch. And I also want to give a shout out, Mike Guyon, our Commissioner of Public Works and Highway Superintendent. Mike really is committed to sustainability issues. And we are fortunate, not every community has someone in the many positions that you hold who is as committed. And I know he and other staff, really engage with the SOC and help us. It was quite a laundry list of items that we have already done, and a really important laundry list of items that we are working on. I'm not going to try to touch on all of them. I'm so excited about the Climate Action Plan. That we did just complete our comprehensive plan update, and really, it's the old saying: if you can either if you fail to plan, you've planned to fail. And that's not where we want to go. We want to plan to succeed. And whether it's the comprehensive plan for land use issues or the climate action plan to focus on what we can do, what small part that we can do to prevent, most of you heard about it, we're looking at 10 years. We're looking at potentially 10 years that we as an earth, not as a community, not as a state or a nation, but as mankind, humankind, 10 years we may have to prevent a long-term, irreversible climate change. So what we can do through a climate action plan is a really important part of that. Organic composting, actually, the town supervisors from across the county meet every month. And this past month, we had folks from Monroe County Solid Waste come and speak to us. And I asked them specifically whether the county has any plans to proceed with organic composting. And they were very forthright. They didn't give me the answer I wanted to hear because the answer is no. They don't have any immediate plans. We know there's a couple of organizations locally that are making those services available, and we certainly want to explore ways that those can be expanded. And one way that I think would be helpful is the establishment or the extension of at least one of our existing refuse districts to serve as a pilot for composting, enabling someone, and we don't even necessarily know who, to provide organic composting services with enough critical mass that it can bring the price down significantly, demonstrate that it can work, and hopefully move forward and make Brighton a trendsetter in yet another area. So I'm hoping that's something we can pursue. You mentioned CCA, and that's very much, we've talked about that a lot. I know a lot of people are still not as familiar with community choice aggregation and the opportunity it brings to really allow everyone, residential small business customers, to contract for renewable energy at a cost that it brings the savings of buying power, volume. So that's certainly something that we're pursuing. Bicycle pedestrian safety is a significant issue. The trail and sidewalk work that we do is part of that, but it's really important. Chief Henderson and I were in a living room on Torrington just last week, talking with that neighborhood. That neighborhood experienced right across Monroe Avenue a bicycle vehicle accident, and we talked about a lot of different ways to try to address those issues, but it really is critical. People are concerned about traffic volume. One way to improve traffic volume is to walk, is to ride a bike. We got to make sure it's safe, and that's something that we will all be working on together. So I can go on, but those are just some of the great issues you highlight, and I appreciate you keeping them on the front burner for all of us. Thank you, and thank you to the rest of your colleagues. the SOC for your volunteer work. You do a great job.
Thanks. Thanks for your time.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? We are in the public hearing on the operating capital improvement budget for 2019. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board on that public hearing? Any board members that want to put comments on the record on the budget? I would again note that this budget will be in compliance with the state tax cap. The general operating fund tax levy increase will be going up slightly less than 2%, depending on what special improvements districts you are in, and how much your own personal residence increased or decreased in value. Your increase may be more or less than that. I do want to just note one more thing. We talked about it at the last meeting, and we talked about it a lot during the past year during the revaluation. Home prices, most of them rose as a function of the revaluation. The overall tax base in the town rose by over 14%. Overwhelmingly, that reflects increases in property values from the revaluation. Not everyone went up that much. Some went up more, some went up less, some declined. But so while values increased by about 14%, the tax rate actually declined by double digits. The tax rate declined by over 11%, as we anticipated, because it isn't the budget, the amount that we have to raise in taxes is not driven by property values. It's driven by our budgetary needs, our projections on other sources of revenues like sales tax, mortgage tax, and we were able to reduce significantly the rate by over 11%. So the tax levy itself in the general operating budget is up slightly less than 2%. So again, is there anyone that would like to address the 2019 budget in this public hearing? Hearing none, I declare the public hearing on the 2019 budget to be closed, and we have a resolution to adopt the budget. Chris, will
Bill,
make that motion.
I move that we adopt the 2019 preliminary operating and capital improvement budgets and adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the budget. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Sorry, allergies are brutal this time of year for me. Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. And next, as I mentioned, we have a second public hearing on the assessment rolls for service charges, maintenance charges, capital improvements, and sewer rent charges for special improvement districts. Dan, has the necessary legal notice been given in this matter?
Supervisor, this notice was also in the October 4th edition of the Post. And I should point out as well, the Fall Rec Bulletin includes this notice as well as required.
Thank you. And that is a function of compliance with a decision of the Court of Appeals a number of years ago that required that notice of the assessment roll public hearing be sent to all property owners. And we do expand the distribution of the fall newsletter to do that. Notice having been given, I declare this public hearing on the 2019 assessment rolls to be open. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the 2019 assessment rolls? Again, just to talk very briefly, these are as you look on your tax bill, you'll see various items. Not everybody has the same ones. You'll see an ambulance district. You may see sidewalk snow removal districts if you live in a neighborhood with sidewalks. You may see street lighting districts if you live in an area that has residential street lights, and so on. Those special districts, which have been formed either by town board action, but more often by a neighborhood request, provide special services beyond what the town as a whole provides. And it's a way, for example, I mentioned sidewalk snow removal. Doesn't make sense for folks on a street that don't have sidewalks to pay to have the residential streets sidewalks plowed. We do plow on a town-wide basis the arterial streets like Monroe Avenue and Winton Road, Penfield Road, East Avenue, sidewalks on those, but residential neighborhood sidewalks are done by districts, so folks that live in neighborhoods that don't have sidewalks don't pay for that. Similarly for residential streetlights, the harp lights and other ornamental lamps that so many of our neighborhoods have. Again, those neighborhoods pay for those. This is the opportunity to review the roles for those. They are also incorporated as part of the budget, which is why I alluded to the fact that these two hearings are closely connected. Again, is there anyone that would like to address the town board on the proposed 2019 assessment rolls for service charges, maintenance charges, capital improvements, and sewer rent charges for special improvements districts? Anyone from the town board? Hearing none, then I declare this public hearing on those assessment rolls to be closed. We have a resolution. Jason, if you would
Sure.
please do the honors.
With respect to the matter regarding the 2019 assessment rolls for service charges, maintenance charges, capital improvements, and sewer rent charges for special improvement districts, I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Any further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. And again, thank you to everyone that helped us through what is a long budget process, but it's a process that is so important to the operations of the town. We'll move on now to communications. Can I have a motion to receive and file the communications tonight?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Tonight, in our agenda, we have two. We have correspondence from Kathy Whitbeck at Brighton Memorial Library with meeting minutes from the Library Board of Trustees meeting of September 17th. We also have correspondence from County Executive Cheryl Donolfo, dated October 2nd, advising us that we have been awarded a community development block grant in the amount of $63,750 for sanitary improvements on Southland Drive in West Brighton. And I'll ask our Commissioner of Public Works to just talk a little bit about what that gets us, what that gets the folks on Southland and their neighborhood.
Sure, real quick. Chad Roscoe from our department was instrumental in obtaining this grant, did a great job. Working with Steve Zimmer, the sewers over in Southland they're older sewers. We always are concerned about inflow and infiltration into our sewers. Can create capacity issues, also can create issues at the plant as far as additional sewage that needs to be treated, additional energy spent. There's a lot of issues, more energy spent in pumping the wastewater and things of that nature. So the intent of this money will be spent to line that sanitary sewer, reduce the amount of inflow and infiltration into the sewer, and extend the life of that sewer, probably 30 years. So that's the intent of that money.
Thanks, Mike. Great news. We are part of the county consortium. We apply for these community block grants in conjunction with the county, and we're always appreciative when they come through. So we have a motion to receive and file those items. Any further discussion on either of those? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Just a little extra material here. We're going to go to committee reports next for our law and government students in particular, but really for everybody. We have 4 town board committees. Those committees, 3 of those committees meet monthly. The Finance and Administrative Services Committee generally meets twice a month, about a week before each town board meeting. The committees that meet monthly are our Community Services Committee, Public Safety Services Committee, and our Public Works Services Committee. Each of those committees meets in public. They each have 2 town board members, generally as members, one as chair. And as supervisor, I serve as a member of each of those 4 committees. And each of those committees is an opportunity for the public to engage in issues that may relate specifically to those particular areas: safety, public works, infrastructure kind of issues, finance, obviously, where the money goes, and community services, which really has a broad range. But at those meetings, again, they're public, the community can participate, and we often drill down a little bit more into some of the issues so that we can really get our arms around them, and then often make recommendations and bring them back to the full town board for action. So that's what these committees are, that's what the reports are, and we'll start with the Community Services Committee. Robin is the chair. Robin.
Thank you, Bill. The Community Services Committee met on October 17th at 9:30 a.m. at the Brookside School. During our open forum session, we had a discussion of lighting at the 12 Corners gazebo and how to make any seasonal lighting inclusive of all, and perhaps have a formal lighting ceremony associated with the annual lighting of the gazebo there. There was a proposal to incorporate a lighting ceremony with Small Business Saturday and perhaps cooperate with the Chamber of Commerce to bring this to fruition. And I noticed that we do have a resolution before the town board this evening to set a public hearing on November 14th, 2018 to expand the special events law to allow for the ability to highlight our local businesses, especially during the busiest retail season. In addition to that, under continuing business and park issues, our outdoor season is winding down, and numerous large projects have been completed by our Parks Department, including renovations to Town Park, dredging at Buckland Park, installation of new playground equipment, including the ever-popular Sway Fun Glider. And right now we have trail border installation at Corbett's Glen underway. Completion of the project is expected, I think, the end of this week, 10/26. There is a concern that newly installed park signs, and we are going to have some park signs installed with regard to our smoking ordinance, they do continue to be removed or stolen by park goers, and so that led to discussion of trail cameras being installed. 2 trail cameras will be installed to help discourage and identify any vandals within our parks. Under our recreation programs, we are finalizing preparations for our fall Halloween events, and we're working on the winter and spring programming right now. We did have a push to find new and different instructors and program areas, and that has been extremely successful, but we're still emphasizing the desire for new and engaging programming to greater meet the needs and interests of the community. We'll also be re-energizing the winter and spring brochures with new program formats and hopefully increased engagement. We had a discussion of our winter farm market, which is currently out for bid with the scaled back project. The bid period will open in early November. And we also recently acknowledged 2 additional $500,000 grants secured by Assemblymember Joe Morelli and State Senator Joe Robach. Under continuing business of the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Committee, we are working to complete the RFP for a consultant to liaise with the group. We expect the RFP to be released soon, and we have passed a budget related to consultant services. Under our Community Choice Aggregation, or CCA law, we The hope is to get 4 jurisdictions together to go out for RFQ to provide services. That would include the towns of Brighton, Pittsford, the village of Pittsford, and the town of Arundepoit. The provision included would allow for any municipality to remove themselves from the collective at any time. And so those RFQs and MOUs are currently being developed. Under our beautification committee, we did receive over 30 applicants for the beautification committee, to which that was narrowed to 13 candidates that have been invited to interview. The interviews will be conducted throughout the months of October and November. We had a little bit of an update with regard to the East Avenue lane reconfiguration. Road patching and infrastructure upgrade work continues, inclusive of disruption to sidewalk access. The traffic has been concerning, particularly around Allen's Creek School as the project moves further southeast along the avenue. The New York State Department of Transportation did issue a statement that said, over the next few weeks, significant paving will take place along East Avenue in Pittsford and Brighton. Afterward, the road will be restriped to allow shoulder space for pedestrians and cyclists and a center turn lane. The project work is expected to take several weeks, and you'll notice that there are signs in the area that significant work began on 10/22. So please do use caution when driving through this area. The actual road construction phase is not scheduled to, the remilling of the road, that is not scheduled to begin until May 2019. But again, please do exercise caution as you traverse East Avenue. And also with regard to exercising caution, our Brighton Safe Streets for All community group met on October 2nd to set goals. The group had already met with pace car organizer Ms. Johns Price to brainstorm ideas on how to move forward. We're currently working to design a logo to implement the pace car program within Brighton, and town leaders are meeting with community groups, including the Torrington Neighborhood Association, and schools to continue conversations about safe streets and safe driving within Brighton. We also discussed school speed limits being posted and also crosswalk painting to draw attention to those pedestrian areas. And we also discussed a pedestrian scramble. We did set a public hearing for November 16th, or 14th, sorry, with regard to our police discipline law. And we debriefed our semi-annual electronics recycling and document shredding event. We had over 250 cars that accessed the event. That's about a 25% decrease since last spring. Attendance was lighter than in previous events. We did have increased use of the shredding portion as publicity surrounding the refusal of televisions and monitors likely contributed to our smaller numbers with regard to electronics recycling. But we did manage to recycle over 8 pallets of electronics. That represents a ton of material. And we had an estimated 8,000 pounds of shredding. And I do want to thank some members of the Brighton High School Climate Club for volunteering to staff that event, in particular Craig Smith, the VHS staff liaison from the Climate Club, was present, and we have student members Elizabeth Winterberger, Sasha Kaniova, and a Spanish exchange student who is here tonight, I see also in law and government class, Maria Bedievic, who all gave time and efforts to help make our event a success. Thank you so much for your efforts.
Thank you.
And we did also discuss our Brighton Police Community Meeting, which occurred on October 16th. We had about 50 people in attendance, and we had wide-ranging discussions on a variety of topics, and extended well past the 7:30 anticipated and into the 8 o'clock hour. Chief Henderson and Captains Cathaldi and Desane are to be commended for proactively engaging the community in discussion. Thank you so much for your efforts. So we have a few upcoming events. Our Halloween Happy House will be at the Buckland Farmhouse, 1341 Westfall Road on Friday, October 26th from 5 to 6 p.m., which will be followed by our Haunted Grounds at the Buckland Farmhouse. Again, 1341 Westfall Road, Friday, October 26th from 6 to 9 p.m. We also have this weekend our semi-annual DEA Pharmaceutical Take-Back Day, which will be at the Brighton Town Hall Public Safety Wing on Saturday, October 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That concludes our report. Our next meeting of the Community Services Committee will be on Wednesday, November 21st at 9:30 a.m. at the Brookside School. As always, members of the public are encouraged to attend.
Thank you, Robin. Finance, Jason.
Yes, the Finance and Administrative Services Committee met on October 16th. Each of the items that were discussed in committee will be reviewed as part of tonight's agenda. In addition, we also discussed, never too early to plan, our 2019 meeting schedule, with the anticipation we'll have a draft schedule to review at our next meeting. And that next meeting will be held on Tuesday, November 6th. We meet at 3:30 in the afternoon in the Stage Conference Hall here at Town Hall, and the public is invited to attend.
Thank you. Public Safety.
The next public safety meeting will meet on November 13th. It meets monthly at 8 o'clock a.m., and the public is invited to attend.
Thank you, Chris. And Public Works.
Public Works, again, meets monthly, and the next meeting upcoming is November 6th at 9 o'clock a.m.
Terrific.
New business. Jason, reading and approval of claims.
Yes, earlier today I reviewed claims totaling $735,995.62. Notable claims included to Q's in the amount of $67,323, representing the replacement of a sewer mainline camera system. Also to Horticultural Associates of Rochester in the amount of $3,522.50. For the purchase of plantings for the Monroe Avenue GIGP project. Also to the Sunshine Concrete Company in the amount of $23,680 for sidewalks installed at the Carmen Clark Lodge over at Town Park. And also to Champion Asphalt Maintenance in the amount of $35,981.92 for the surface restoration that also took place at Town Park for the parking lot. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Second.
And I would just note those last two items that you referenced, really important. That is our really our oldest park and lodge, and it predates the Americans with Disabilities Act. And not only was it was in real need of maintenance. We've addressed some maintenance items in the lodge earlier, but really the infrastructure, the outdoors, the sidewalk, the parking lot, was really getting to be in pretty rough shape. It did not meet modern ADA standards, although it was grandfathered. There were drainage issues. We talked about our upcoming community development block grant for Southland. Last year, though, we got a community development block grant for that project to make improvements there at the lodge, and that was how most of that project was funded. So while those were a couple of pretty good size dollar amounts, most of that really was budget neutral. It came from the community block grant program. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the claims? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeBonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. Chris?
Next item is to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with the LED Tomorrow for professional services related to the LED lighting project at the Highway and Sewer Facility for the price not to exceed $9,500. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And we heard our SOC, our Sustainability Oversight Committee members, talk about LED lighting for street lights. We have lighting in a number of elements, and this is a project to convert quite a bit of lighting over at the highway sewer facility at 1941 Elmwood Avenue, 2 LED lighting. So good to get that project underway. This is for planning, design services for that project. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter is to authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with Municipal Solutions for professional services in connection with disclosure filings and regulations pursuant to the provisions of Securities and Exchange Commission Rule 15C 33-12. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
These are requirements under the SEC regulations in connection with borrowing. We work with Municipal Solutions as our fiscal advisor, and this is a small piece of service in addition to that, but it really makes sense to have the same firm providing those services. So we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Robin?
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to renew the agreement with Penflex, Inc. for third-party administrative services as related to the West Brighton Fire Protection District's Length of Service Award Program for a period of 1 year, November 1st, 2018 through October 31st, 2019. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Penflex currently provides those services, and this would continue our relationship with Penflex. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. We have a series of matters relating to healthcare services to different classes of employees and retirees. So I'm going to ask Jason to do each one of those, starting with the basic agreement with MVP for our employees and retirees.
Our first matter is to authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with MVP Healthcare to provide medical insurance to eligible town employees and retirees for 2019. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Again, this is our health care that is provided to town employees and to retirees. The rates are going up somewhat, but they're going up less than what we would expect based on market conditions, largely because we are part of a regional consortium of a number of governmental jurisdictions, mostly in Monroe County, but also Ontario County. And working with an insurance broker, we have been able, and again, we talked about economies of scale. You get better pricing. Healthcare premiums are a great example of that. We are able to get better pricing, smaller increases, thanks to working with this consortium, affectionately known as FLMHIT, which is the Finger Lakes Municipal Health Insurance Trust. So we have that motion and second. Further discussion on that matter? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jason?
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with Excelis BCBS to administer the town employee self-funded insured dental benefit plan for 2019. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
The dental plan through Excelis, as noted, is an employee-paid plan. Employees have the option of joining that dental plan, and if they do, they pay a pretty modest sum. That modest sum is increasing by very small, by $1 a month.
For single plan, $2 a month for family.
Right, thank you, Paula. And again, a very small increase, 2% approximately increase in the amount paid to Excellus to administer that plan. So it's a good opportunity for our employees, and a number of them take advantage of it. So we have that motion and second. Dan, if there's no other comment, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. And one last one.
All right, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute all documents and agreements with Excellus BCBS and MVP Healthcare pertaining to the 2019 Medicare medical plans for eligible town retirees. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And again, self-explanatory. Certain retirees are eligible for Medicare, and we offer a base level plan with, depending on, different employees, whether they were, when they retired, whether they were part of a union with a contract, they pay a varying percentage of the premium. But in any event, there's a base plan, and eligible retirees who want additional levels of benefits through Medicare plans can pay that additional incremental cost. All of that is set forth in the resolution. So we have a motion and a second. Discussion on that? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. Robin?
The next matter seeks to authorize to declare the 2002 Chevy Express passenger van as surplus to be sold at the next Roy Teetsworth Municipal Auction. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This one kind of feels like we're losing an old friend. This is a 2002 passenger van that the Brighton Recreation Department has been using for a long time. And taken a few rides in that van, but we are going to be driving in a much newer and more energy efficient vehicle, much easier to ingress and egress, but still 2002. It's a lot of good rides for our recreation program, and we will sell it at municipal auction. Much as I love that vehicle, town law precludes me from bidding on that vehicle at the municipal auction, so I will not be doing so.
That's the only reason.
We have a motion, a second. If there's no further comment, and none of the rest of you are eligible to bid on it either, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. Chris?
Next item is to approve the appropriation of $3,087 to revenue account APOLCE 3120-1589, Public Safety Revenue and Expense Account to APOLCE .3120.1.30. Overtime for the same for reimbursement from Coordinated Care Services, INC, for crisis intervention training. In other words, we're looking to appropriate $3,087 for crisis intervention training and move money from one account to another.
And that's your motion.
I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Mark, would you like to just
I
talk?
can.
We've talked a lot about training lately, and
We
let's talk
have.
about
One of
this
the things that we reported to the community last week is our focus on how to deal with individuals in crisis. The CIT training is one aspect of the training that we will bring to the police department. The entire department, myself included, have been certified in mental health first aid. The CIT training is an advanced class. It's a 40 hours. I just attended a national conference, and the goal of law enforcement agencies across the country to have 100% first aid training, mental health first aid training. We've achieved that. And with this recent training, we were able to send 3 officers, bringing a total of 8 that have received CIT training. We're right at that 20% threshold. This not-for-profit allows for reimbursement. We wouldn't have been able to send this many officers at this time because of overtime expenditures, and I think you're going to go over my overtime numbers later. Yeah, we're trending, what I think, we're an aberration, or we're trending pretty high, so this allows us to offset that expenditure, and my goal is 100% CIT training as well, whether the funding's there or not, but it's there right now, and the check's been received, and if you could put it back in my overtime line, my percentage in a minute will look pretty good.
Thank you, Mark. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize John Reformat of Lacey Katz and Attorneys at Law to utilize Bruckner, Tillett, Rossi, Cahill, and Associates to provide preliminary and court-ready appraisals for 2 certiorari cases for the not-to-exceed sum of $10,000. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And again, this simply relates to certiorari is a big Latin word for tax assessment litigation. And these appraisal services may be necessary for those 2 challenges. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. I'm going to make this motion. I don't usually do that, but this is at my request, and I move that we set November 14th as a public hearing date to consider proposed amendments to the town's special events local law. And can I have a second to that?
Second.
You two have been,
I know,
it's
two meetings
like
were off
Jeopardy,
already. Yeah.
ringing in all night long. The town has had a special events law actually dating back to the late 90s when the Ryder Cup came to Rochester. The idea was using the special events law to relax some of our code restrictions on businesses to enable them that year to take advantage of the many people that were coming into the Rochester area to go to the Ryder Cup at Oak Hill. Since then, over the years, the town, the Brighton Central School District, and the Chamber of Commerce have collaborated on really a community homecoming event. And early on, as we celebrated homecoming in that public way, the special events law was used to encourage businesses during the week of homecoming to, take special activities, sidewalk sale kind of activities. One restaurant was grilling outside. Another retail store brought in searchlights a couple of years. So a lot of different ways people use the special events law to take promote local businesses. Over the years, the homecoming, which is just a great event, parade every year, just such a wonderful idea, bringing the parade out into the community. Hundreds and hundreds of people come down to the 12 Corners, watch the parade. Many of them stay and go to the football game. But it has, over time, less and less been an event that really it's made sense to use the special events law, because I think the businesses, a number of businesses have had booths right there in the 12 Corners area, but it just hasn't in recent years had the same traction. Part of the thinking, and there's been discussion at various levels, is to try to, we all recognize that retailers, the most important time of year for retailers is the holiday season. And what this proposed local law will do is change what has been a 2-week special events period that the town board can set each year, and change that to potentially a longer special events period, a special events period that will begin on Small Business Saturday, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And that's a day that the Brighton Chamber of Commerce and the town have engaged in some promotional activity, continuing through the end of the year, to give retailers, restaurants, the opportunity to do those same special events, activities, to promote business in what is really the most important time of the year. Is, you know, the story is that Black Friday, one of the reasons it got the name Black Friday is that for a lot of retailers, that was the day they moved into the black for the year. In other words, started turning a profit for the year. All of the profits that a lot of retail stores earn are earned during that last month or so of the season. So we thought that this was an opportunity to work in collaboration with small businesses in Brighton to promote those businesses and promote shopping in Brighton. Yes, the malls are out there. Yes, there's online shopping. But for a lot of things, you just can't beat shopping local, shopping small. And we're going to take advantage of that. We're going to kick it off on Small Business Saturday and move forward. And I hope that we're able to collaborate with businesses, particularly in the years going forward. We certainly want folks that are in a position to do that to take advantage this year, but I hope we'll have the opportunity really to collaborate to a much greater extent in 2019 and going forward. All we're going to be doing tonight is setting that public hearing on this law for November 14th.
Bill, I noticed in looking at the proposed law that we've only got it going through December 31st. Are we going to include the first of the year as well, being a holiday?
We really thought we would just do it through December 31st, you know, to keep it in the year, and, you know, the first is, sort of has a different.
Well, since that is a holiday from school, from work, for most folks and so forth, I wonder if we might continue it beyond that. But that's subject to more discussion next time.
Discuss, sure, yeah. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeBonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, a couple things I want to talk about. First, we are in leaf season now, as of Monday, our highway crews. And kudos to our highway crews for a great summer of work. To a certain extent, summer hasn't completely gone away from a highway department perspective. They're still putting the finishing touches on the project along Monroe Avenue, the green infrastructure project that has so many spin-offs from it between pedestrian safety and aesthetics. But in its roots, it's a stormwater project, and it will help our stormwater along Buckland Creek and Allens Creek. But leaf season began on Monday. As always, you can go to the town's webpage to see when the crews are coming. But I want to make a couple of reminders because we're seeing it already, and we're seeing some discussion on Facebook and other social media. I really can't stress enough. Leaves cannot be put in the street. Lawn and garden debris cannot be put in the street. Why not? Bunch of reasons. Safety. First and foremost, we've been talking about pedestrian safety, bicycle safety. Pedestrians and bicycles in particular, are riding along the sides of our streets. If they have to suddenly veer out into traffic, particularly at dusk and dawn and this time of year, kids riding their bikes to school are doing it at dawn. If they have to veer into the street to avoid piles of leaves or branches, it's creating a safety issue. So if for no other reason, you got those drive like your kids live here signs, but I want to stress again, it's behavior modification for all of us. Pile your leaves to keep your kids safe on the lawn, between the lawn and the sidewalk if you have a tree lawn, or on your front lawn if you don't have that sidewalk. Why else is it important? The fall tends to be a rainy and snowy time of year. We get sometimes the tropical storms that move up and dump a lot of rain. When there are leaves in the street, lawn and garden debris in the street, they often are swept down to the storm drains where they can prevent drainage. and make neighborhood street flooding problematic. So please, keep the leaves on the grass, not in the street. And one other thing, containerize. If you have small quantities, please try to put them in a container, whether it's a garbage can that you use for that purpose, whether it's those big brown bags that you can get at the hardware store. Why? A couple reasons. One, they'll get picked up quicker. Our containerized crews are able to circulate through town more quickly. Two, a little less unsightly. You've got the bags and they're not out there for as long. They don't blow around. This is also a windy time of year, in addition to wet. So for all those reasons, if you've got small amounts of leaves, try to containerize them. We're going to be talking about that throughout the fall, as we do every year. We will issue warnings. In a worst-case scenario, we may issue tickets to people. So don't be that person. Keep your leaves up where they belong. Just wanted to talk about one other event today. I had the pleasure, as I do every year, of going to an event that Mayor Lovely Warren hosts in conjunction with the United Negro College Fund and other historically black colleges and universities. Over 1,500 students, including some from Brighton, took part in the full morning college fair that these colleges engage in down at the convention center. And the morning concludes with a great luncheon to raise money for the United Negro College Fund. Several hundred people were at that luncheon. The keynote speaker was the president of Claflin University, a university in South Carolina that is one of the HBCUs benefited by the event. But again, the Brighton School District has gotten involved to a greater extent starting last year. But 1,500 students, and I think the number that really draws me to this event every year is on the spot today and every year. We don't even know how much yet. They're still adding up the total. But last year, $1.4 million in scholarships were offered on the spot to students. A lot of these students are the first in their family to go to college. These are students that really would struggle to even just consider that college is an option for them. We heard from a young woman who grew up in Brockport, who is a student today at Florida Memorial College in Miami. She got a scholarship 2 years ago at this college fair, full ride to Florida Memorial University. A wonderful, great speaker, and as was the president of Claflin. So I just wanted to point that out. There's a lot of good things happening, and that event and this day is certainly one of them. That's all I have. Ken, matters of the attorney.
I do not have anything.
Matters of the town clerk.
Go Sox.
Yeah, we're probably in the first inning. Yes, matters of the director of finance.
I was wondering if you'd like to hear about the performance of your budget through September. I know the chief's
I'm good.
dying
No,
to
I
hear
think
about his
that's-
overtime.
Really
Don't
good
want to
about overtime.
disappoint him, so it inadvertently got left off
yes, we
the
would.
agenda.
Please.
The reports are all on the website, so anybody can access them. So we'll talk about where we stand. This will be as of September 30th. I want to remind everybody, we've got about $25 million in expenditures in the major operating funds that we're going to look at. We collected taxes of $14.7 million. We've utilized fund balance of $1,095,000. We used reserves of $85,000. And we also have, that leaves over about $9,200,000 in remaining revenue sources to fill that gap. So our revenues are doing well. We still don't have our sales tax. We'll get that payment in November. And our mortgage tax, as I reported last time, was a little bit low, and we're concerned about that one, and we won't see that payment until December.
But conversely, sales tax, the first sales tax payment
We're
was
the
good.
highest
and
payments
we
we've
hope-
ever received. So we're anticipating that the November payment, as well as the payment that we'll get in February for the current fiscal year, will be high as well.
That's another reason to shop small, to take advantage of
Yes,
that
it is.
holiday shopping period. Make
Yes,
sure
it
we get
is.
those sales taxes right here in Monroe County.
The remainder of the revenues, there's about 4.5 million, and that's departmental income, intergovernmental charges, state aid, pilots, property tax interest, interest earnings. And I'm happy to report that through the first 9 months of the current year, we've recorded 3.7 million, or 81%. We're 75% through the year, and so we've recorded 81%, which is good. They're trending a little bit above budget, which is definitely where we want to be. Two areas are responsible for that. Departmental income is up around 84% collected, and our interest earnings, even though interest is up around a little over 2%, depending on where we're investing, that revenue's coming in at currently 141% over what we budgeted. So we're doing well on investing. Our expenditures, as I said, are about 25.8 million. 18.9 million of that, or about 73%, relates to our wages and benefits for our active and retired town workforce. With respect to our regular full and part-time wages, we are at 73%, again, trending right on budget. That's where I would expect us to be, remembering that the town is only going to pay for positions that are authorized and funded in our budget. Overtime, however, can fluctuate, especially actually in the police department, depending on what activities they have going on, and also in the highway department, again, affected mostly in the beginning of the year with snow, and of course this time of year going forward with snow.
Let's hope not.
Let's hope not. It's not as bad as the chief thinks. We are utilizing 76% overall of our overtime budget. The police is at 78%. And what we appropriated will help you a little bit on there. And the highway department's at 72%. So we're a little over there, but overall I think we'll be okay in the salary and wages. Employee benefits are about 6.3 million. Half of that, 3,200,000, relates to our medical insurance, which we talked about earlier in the meeting. So through September, we've made 10 of the 12 payments, so we're a payment ahead because of how we pay our health insurance, which is 84%. We are trending at 79%. So again, we are trending right on budget. It's good news. We budgeted well, and we're going to be fine with insurance at the end of the year. There's another $2 million, or 32%, which is for the New York State retirement systems, both general unit and police and fire units. And we are trending, again, right on budget. We will be getting that final bill and paying that bill in December so that we can take advantage of the discount. And we should see, again, just a little bit left over at the end of the year as we budgeted well, and we should be at or just below budget on our retirement. So exclusive of the wages and the fringe benefits, which are the largest part of our budget, we can look at the remaining expenditures, which would encumber our supplies, materials, contractual services, capital and equipment investments, and our debt service. So those numbers, it's about 7.25 million, which includes what we originally budgeted, plus the amendments that we've made year to date. And for all of those put together, we've actually expended only 67% of our budget, which is really good news. We have encumbered, however, another 19%, which is what we want to see. We want to see our departments reserving those funds for the expenses that they know they're going to have, which is good. So 86% of that. That leaves us 14% for the what ifs, what pops up. So we're trending good on all levels of our 400s in the budget. An area where I have a little bit of a concern is the utility budget. We are trending just a little above 76%. We've got the October, November, December, which are the darkest and the coldest months of the year, so I'm going to be keeping an eye on utilities. As far as the capital expenses, again, they're trending right on budget. And the debt service, of course, is always on budget because we know what our payments are ahead of time and we budget accordingly. So in conclusion, overall, as the budget is at 74%, trending exactly where we would expect it to, being 3/4 of the way through the year. We're still going to be monitoring those revenues. I'll be watching, and if there is any impacts that come up where it's necessary to be taken action, I can identify those areas early and come to you with ways to take some action on the budget.
Great. Thank you, Paula. Thank you for all that detail. It really helps us all to, get in the weeds a little bit and make sure we're on track. Jason, can I have a motion to receive and file that quarterly report?
So moved.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. Matters of the board.
Bill, I wanted to give my own personal perspective on leaf cleanup and so forth, to the extent that when I first agreed to serve on the town board, my law partner asked me, did I really want people calling me to ask when they were going to have their leaves picked up? And for the first time in 7 years this week, I did get a call from at my law office from a homeowner in East Brighton asking when her leaves were going to be picked up, and I was very thrilled because I do have that rate as a desktop icon. I clicked it on my screen, and there it was that very day her leaves were going to be picked up. Unfortunately, though, the reason for her call, and this is a good use of that site, was so she could coordinate her own raking efforts to coincide with when the leaves were going to be picked up. So unfortunately, I think she missed that day. It was October 23rd. The other, though, is from a safety standpoint, please. It truly is a safety aspect, and my grandson, Abraham, is learning to ride his bike in the Struckmar neighborhood, and he's a little wobbly, and, well, more than a little, but I heard him call out, "Gaga, Gaga," and I turned around to look for him, and I couldn't find him because he just entered into a leaf pile on the street that was way out into the street. So please, it really does make a difference, but more importantly, the pedestrians and the cars. It's a real problem.
But Chris, you raise a good point. Big leaf piles, we all know, can be very attractive to children. And the thought of a child playing in or on a leaf pile that's in the street, you may not see that a child is there. That's a really scary thought to contemplate. So if you needed a reason, if Abraham and his wobbly bike wasn't enough of a reason, think of those kids. Again, we go back to the kids. Think of the kids. We all played in leaf piles when we were growing up. Please, play away, but keep those piles on the grass. Robin, were you about to?
Yeah, Chris and I have been competing all night.
It's all yours. I've been vying for the spotlight.
I just wanted to mention some of our fall rec highlights. Our town of Brighton developmental basketball leagues are beginning on November 3rd and are available for both boys and girls in the 3rd through 5th grades. The league games are on Saturdays, November through February. And we also have our mini hoopsters for our younger basketball players. This is a co-ed league for players as young as 6 to 8 years old, and they meet on Sundays starting on November 4th. There are only a few spaces left in both leagues, so please do register. All our basketball leagues are held at the Brookside Recreation Center at 220 Idlewood Road. And I also wanted to put out a request for Brighton senior rides. We're still in need of volunteer drivers. And Brighton Senior Rides is a program that's sponsored by Lifespan, and it helps senior citizens living in Brighton and Penfield to get rides to medical appointments, religious services, and the town's recreation events. So if you're eager to help volunteer drive for Brighton and Penfield seniors, please do call 585-340-8674. Again, that's 585-340-8674 to volunteer for Brighton. I guarantee it's a very rewarding experience. And that's the extent of what I have.
And I'm glad you mentioned volunteering, because there is one more. I know that the Brighton Food Cupboard is very actively looking for more volunteers. I should have grabbed their phone number, but they are on the web. They are a program of Jewish Family Services, and they're very much in need of volunteers. And they're also looking to help with Thanksgiving baskets. So that's another way that people can help the Brighton Food Cupboard. Great program, meeting a need that all too often goes unnoticed, but also unmet in our community. Hunger is a problem here, and Brighton Food Cupboard is really making a difference on that. So, any other matters of the town board? Hearing none, can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment of particular people, collective bargaining, and a matter of litigation?
So move.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I don't anticipate we'll be coming back out after executive session. Our next town board meeting is November 14th at 7 o'clock right here in this room. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks especially to our law and government students who stuck it out. And if you need me to sign anything, I'm happy to do that. Have a great evening.